Hello, delegates, and happy February. I want to remind you all that we have a House of Delegates meeting on February 25th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time and 11 a.m. Pacific Time. This month is Black History Month, and I'm very honored and proud to have Miss Debi Lewis as our interviewee for our HOD Spotlight interview. Hello, Debi. Thank you so much for allowing me to interview today for our February House of Delegates Spotlight interview. It is February and it is Black History Month, and I am so honored that you have agreed to be interviewed today. So let's get right to the questions. So Debi, tell me about yourself. What is your background and where are you from?
I was born in Chicago, but I'm really raised in Los Angeles. I actually graduated from LA High. When I dropped out of school really quickly after my first year, I realized I had to work for a living, and I switched immediately from pre-med to business administration. And I was an office manager in an ad agency. I really thought I had a really great job. There was a family emergency, and it was very important for me to be close to my family. I looked for a job in Pasadena, which is where my family lived. And I ended up working for James and Montgomery, the engineering firm that I ended up staying with for 30 years. While I was there, I ended up working for the only senior VP who was a woman in the firm. And it so inspired me just to see her that I felt like it was something that I could actually do and pursue. And I had been going to school part-time as a business major, but I decided that it wasn't going to be enough of a challenge for me and that I could go back at 40 and pursue a degree in civil engineering. I had a great mentor when I was in school, a female, and I also talked to a number of other female engineers. And the one thing that sticks out in my memory is someone said, we're not that smart, but if you are willing to work hard, you can achieve any goal that you want. So she said, are you willing to work? And I said, well, yeah, I've got nothing but time. And so she said, I think you can be an engineer. And that's how it happened.
Wow, that's an amazing story. So the manager that you were speaking of, she was female. Was she African American or just female? Okay.
As a matter of fact, I don't think I met any in the firm for quite some time. So
Wow.
the people that I looked up to, that I followed, that supported me were all female. I had an option to have a male Black engineer be my mentor when I started going back to school, but I really wanted a woman to be my mentor. I felt that was critical. We face different issues, and I honestly felt like I needed that level of support.
That is critical and great choice because look at where you are today. So just to follow up on that, are there any young female engineers under you that do you think are looking up to you, or are you mentoring any young female engineers?
I would never have guessed that there are, and they have called me and asked questions about professional development or issues that they have with their employers or projects and things like that. And so maybe it's not so amazing that they might call me and ask, but the really amazing part for me is that I actually feel like I can contribute and help them. And so, yes, the answer is yes. But I also want to say for anybody who is pursuing a career that's difficult, just being in place is really enough. Sometimes you just can't even visualize yourself in a position doing something that is challenging or outside your normal sphere of understanding, and just seeing someone do it was really all it took for me to decide that was something that I could do too. I'd worked for many male engineers before, but it wasn't until I worked for a woman that I felt like it was something that was available to me and something that I could do.
Absolutely, that's great to hear. And being part, as you know, of the diversity, equity, inclusion here inside of WEF, and you are in California as well, having representation in those higher management positions, so those young people and those young engineers coming into the business can actually see themselves at high levels because they actually see it without looking at it, without knowing or having something to achieve to, or not thinking that you could be there because you don't see anyone there that looks like you, that's hard to overcome. So I'm sure you don't realize this, but many, many young women and young engineers and African Americans are looking up to you and saying thank you, and knowing that you did it, they can absolutely do it too. So thank you for everything that you are doing. Just from the bottom of my heart, I just want to thank you for that. So I want you to tell me, Debbie, tell me something that you want the delegates to know about you, something that people may not know about you, but it's fun. You want them to know.
Well, I'm not sure this is fun, but it's definitely true and
Okay.
too intense for fun. But I will say this. I have always scored high on EQ, emotional quotients, and emotional intelligence. And I think most of that is because just from really early on, I have always had a spiritual path in life. And by that, I mean church, but also yoga. I started getting involved in yoga in 1973, not dating myself, but Tai Chi, even Eskrima, which is a Filipino martial arts where they use the sticks. Like all of those have a definite spiritual component, and I believe that that's contributed to my EQ. And I believe that it is, if you talk to me at any point in time for any period of time, you'll find out that I have a really serious commitment to the quiet person in the room. And so often, like, I am not a quiet person in a meeting, but I notice when there are others at the table who don't get a chance to speak. And it's not unlike me to call them out. And I do it because everybody has something to say. And if I had to say, like, what's really important to me, like when I was in the Sacramento area section, I was the TCP chair. And we had trainings, and people came from hundreds of miles away to participate. And I was so touched, like looking at people, the collection system maintenance, electrical and instrumentation, ECI, like the lab analysts, the mech techs, like I just fell in love with the people at that level who do that kind of work. And I have always been their strongest, most avid fan. And I don't think that will ever change. I almost wish I had a shirt with my name on it.
That's amazing. We're going to get that for you. It's done. Oh, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. And then one last question. If you weren't in water, what would you be doing right now if you didn't find the water path?
A nurse.
You said you meant, oh, it would have been a nurse. Okay. You said
Absolutely.
You were pre-med. Wow.
That's right. When I was a little girl, my mother had this little article that I wrote when I was about like kindergarten or something like that. And it was how what I was going to do when I was a nurse. I was going to help people and do things for them. Like, it's really this whole EQ, it's just been my life. It's who I am. And so I don't think that if I went back to school that I would have chosen pre-med. But I think I definitely would have felt comfortable switching from business to nursing. And just to wrap it up, I had an experience with a nurse once when I was in the hospital. And she was really one of those hobnail boots, like, you're doing what I tell you kind of thing. And I was really feeling sorry for myself. And she just slapped me around, and I looked so great when my family came to see me and couldn't even believe that I'd had surgery. I mean, look, you're up, we're getting showered, we're gonna look good, and I so appreciated what someone can do for you in recovery that I have always held fast to the amazing work that they do.
Absolutely. The power of nurses. I think doctors get a lot of attention, but it's truly the nurses that do the real work, in my opinion.
I think so. I really do. So.
Well, thank you so much for being here today and allowing me to interview for the House of Delegates.
Thank you. I appreciate all that you do. And of course, we look up to you. I have to say that this is amazing. And I love what WEF is doing and where WEF is going. And I believe in this organization.
I do too. That's why we're here.
That's right.
Thank you, Debbie.
Everyone, Steve Drangsholt here again to give you an update on each of the work groups that are in progress. First is the Diversity and Inclusion Work Group. As Donnell says, they put the work in work group. They're working on 3 important items right now: a survey, an evaluation for permanent HOD committee on DE&I, and then an inflow starter kit to share with other MAs. Second is the Financial Diversification Work Group. They're also working on a survey on innovative methods and the impacts of COVID on each of the MAs. Later this summer, we'll be working on a 501c3 fact sheet and info sharing for each of the MAs as well. The Federal Advocacy Work Group is working on 2 important topics based on the survey they sent out: water advocacy and an MA onboarding kit. There'll be more info on both provided at the HOD meeting later this month. Lastly, our MA Conference Resources Work Group is putting together an infographic on best practices that's going to include platform comparison, sponsorship, engagement, etiquette, and how to do follow-up afterwards. Hope you enjoyed your update on each of the work groups and look forward to seeing you at the end of the month.